Integration management coordinates activities between different project management knowledge areas. Unlike most other knowledge areas, integration management is largely the responsibility of one person, the project manager. At the same time, one should note that there are other links between knowledge areas as well. That is, although integration management plays an important coordinating role, not all coordination takes place through it or by the actions of the project manager. The following considerations are typical to integration management. Allocation of resources. For example, how much of the project team's time is allocated to risk management, communication, reporting, and other activities. Balancing conflicting demands. Projects are carried out with limited resources, and this, from the viewpoint of resource utilization, poses considerable challenges. Sometimes you may need to decide whether the next working day of the project's lead designer will be used to schedule a sudden design change required by the customer, or to solve a quality problem in subcontracting. Considering alternative solutions. Occasionally, there will be situations where no optimal solution is available. Sometimes there is a need to consider, for example, whether a delay in schedule should be compensated by switching to working in multiple shifts or by negotiating changes to the timetable together with the customer. Tailoring. Projects are unique and their successful implementation often requires unique ways of leading projects. For example, in international projects, there may be a need to adapt purchasing practices to a new geographic context in which procurement cannot be done following standard routines. Looking at the project lifecycle, the emphasis of integration management changes as the project moves closer to its handover to the client. In the early stages of the lifecycle, the most important output is the project description and related presentation. Projects commit large volumes of scarce resources, involve significant promises to customers, and expose the firm to many kinds of risks. Therefore, it is very important that project startup is a well-prepared process and that the decision to launch a project or not to launch is taken on the basis of the best available information. The project description is a carefully prepared document describing what is being considered for implementation, the benefits of implementation, as well as its possible drawbacks. This image shows an example of a variety of information that is typically collected in a project description. For example, there is a statement of how the project links to the strategy of the firm, financial calculations, and a rough estimate of the project's relative risk level, as it is important for management to be able to distinguish high-risk projects from so-called routine projects. If management makes a positive decision on the implementation of the project, then the next step is to draft a project plan, which is typically also a responsibility of the project manager. The project plan is a key project management tool that combines the most important outputs from all project management knowledge areas into a single integrated document. Compared to the project description, the project plan is far more detailed in terms of the scope description, schedule, risks, resource requirements, and other items. Although the project manager is responsible for creating the project plan, the plan is made in cooperation with all major stakeholders. Typically, these include at least the customer, project team, and major suppliers. This figure shows an example of what a typical project plan contains. It can be easily observed that the structure is highly similar to the previously discussed list of project management knowledge areas. As a whole, the project plan provides a common understanding to several key questions. What is the customer need we are addressing? What is the solution we are addressing the need with? How are we building the solution? And what is the team building the solution? In order for the plan to work also as a communication tool between stakeholders, it is important that the project plan is kept quite compact. Depending on the scope of the project, its length can vary from a couple of pages to about 20 pages or so. In addition, there may be a number of attachments describing various details. It should be noted that the project plan is not a static document that is put away to the desk drawer as the project progresses to the implementation phase, but that the various changes that need to be made are systematically handled and documented, and the project plan updated accordingly. In a well-managed project, the project plan always describes the current state of the project. As the project moves to the implementation stage, the emphasis in integration management changes considerably. Now the focus of attention is on keeping track of the progress of the project. If and when deviations are detected, intervention should be prompt and decisive. Various reports produced by the project team and subcontractors represent a key progress monitoring tool. These include, for example, work progress reports, cost reports, reports on quality problems, risk reports, and communications reports. The systematic progressing of change requests constitutes one of the most significant activities in integration management. For larger projects, it is always the case that various change requests caused by changing customer requirements, regulatory requirements, technical problems, weather conditions, and many other reasons are brought forward to the project manager. Change requests typically involve changes to the timetable and/or the scope of the project. Making changes during project implementation often involves very significant risks, and on the other hand, also significant business opportunities. It is therefore important that the proposed changes are systematically processed and their positive and negative effects are assessed, and only then the decision to approve or reject the change is taken. Finally, the decisions are documented and then carried out. At the very end of the project lifecycle, integration management also includes closing the project. At this stage, a final review of the project is carried out and it is ensured that the outcome is approved by the customer. After that, the success of the project is evaluated and lessons learned are drawn. Finally, the project organization is discontinued, after which project team members can move on to new assignments.